Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent, savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Tom, what is Top Chef immunity worth, dollar-wise?
Okay, so this season, they're getting rid of immunity for quickfires, which means the math changes a little bit. Now it's immunity for the next episode after you win the Elimination Challenge. There's $250,000 at stake to win Top Chef. And there's about, 13, 14 episodes remaining. So, I don't know, 250,000 divided by 14, what's that, $10,000? I'll say $10,000. That's what immunity is worth.
If I won week 1 of Top Chef season 21, I would sell my immunity back to the show for $17,461, Tom.
That seems very precise.
It is very precise. This is Pack Your Knives. I'm Kevin Arnovitz.
And I'm Tom Haberstroh.
Tom, Top Chef Wisconsin season 21 is on. We've got a no quickfire elimination cook-off episode. We've got new host Kristen Kish. We got chefs getting drinks at the charming but haunted Pfister Hotel in downtown Milwaukee. We're 6th man of the year. Lou Williams outright would not stay during NBA road trips. How are you feeling about season 21?
Oh, I got lots of thoughts. Kristen Kish is the new host, and there's a little bit of tweaks here and there. But first, Kevin, we should remind our audience that we've got some changes over here too. Namely, Pack Your Knives has launched a Substack. That's right. Substack is a publication that you can go over and sign up at packyourknives.com. You can sign up for free, put in your email, and you're going to get updates, regular updates on our episodes and offerings. But you should really become a paid subscriber, because paid subscribers will get lots of goodies, premium goodies that we just didn't offer last year. And you can do that by signing up at packyourknives.com. And for the first week until March 23rd, you can get $10 off the $50 annual price tag and have it for $40 if you become a paid subscriber. You'll get things like immediate downloads as soon as we publish. We'll get maps. You know, what if you could look at a map and see where all the Top Chef restaurants are in America? We're working on that as we speak. And all the analytics I do, some of it we're going to put as a premium, as a nod to our OG subscribers, our premium subscribers who have been here since day one, or if you just joined us. We want to support you if you support us. So go become a paid subscriber. And did I cover everything, Kevin?
There's also an extra special tier, the Chef's Table founding member level. And what you get with this is you get to participate in the draft. How does that work? Well, Tom, I know things. I was a guest at Top Chef season 21 in Milwaukee several weeks into the competition. And because I am familiar with some of the finalists in the final 6 or 7 or 8.
Or 10. I don't know how many it was. I don't want to know, Kevin.
I cannot disclose, but basically I know stuff. And this makes me ineligible to draft. It would be unfair to you. It would be unfair to our listeners. It would be unfair to the chefs themselves. So I'm going to have the Chef's Table founding members of Pack Your Knives Substack draft on my behalf. Here's how it's going to work. Become a founding member. You're going to get an email from me personally, from my personal account on Thursday. You are then going to send it back, if you would like, ranking the chefs from 1 to 14, all the remaining chefs who you think is going to win the season. I'm going to aggregate our founding member chef's table picks, and that is how I'm going to draft. Basically, I'm drafting in trust. I cannot make these determinations for myself because I know stuff, but you will make it for me. You will draft my team. You will essentially be drafting me against Tom. And that's how it's going to work. You will also get a mention by name on the episode if you'd like. And if you don't, we won't. But please become a founding member. Consider becoming a founding member. That'll be really fun. You'll also be eligible for other cool stuff. We're going to have some private hangouts over the course of the season with our founding members. So please subscribe. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, Tom, I want your impressions on the first episode. How's it looking?
It's looking pretty similar to past years, with the exception, of course, Padma out and Kristen in. I kind of felt like this was a really strong start. I think a lot of people, like myself, were wondering how much different would Kristen be as a host. And I actually felt like the same lines, the same pacing. There were some distinct differences, and we'll talk about that later. But I didn't feel like this was a new season entirely. They didn't do a complete makeover and overhaul. I actually thought it was a really strong opening episode with Kristen.
I did too. And look, I think we will glean her style over a series of weeks. It's not something you're going to learn about a host in week 1 or even week 2 or week 3. I mean, this is a multi-season process. She has a different persona than Padma. It's probably unfair to even kind of evaluate her with Padma as the reference point.
Right. It's LeBron and Jordan, right? Like comparing, exactly. It's like, come on, they're their own person, right?
Yeah. And look, there certainly isn't a fear factor yet. I mean, that Padma did have this presence. You did sense that the chefs kind of, feared her iciness. You didn't know what she was thinking. She was inscrutable. Kristen's much more kind of be generally expressive and accessible that way. I really like the episode just from a structural standpoint. I like a no quickfire elimination cook-off episode. It's sort of an inverted Top Chef episode where we get the quickfire at the very end, where you got a bunch of chefs scrambling around, got 20 minutes to cook something. I really dug that. And so I thought it actually, they were also able to kind of multiply the number of judges' tables. We essentially, Tom, got 3 subdivisional judges table because they split the chefs into 3 different divisions for the elimination challenge. One group was cooking soup, one was cooking roasted chicken, one was cooking pasta. So you got kind of 3, there were really 3 mini episodes within the one episode, which made for more suspense. We had 3 top winners, we had 3 bottoms, and then you had those folks running off in the elimination and winner respectively. So I just thought they did a very nice job structuring the episode for maximum drama, given that you have to do all the throat clearing you do in the first episode.
Couldn't agree more. And I love the way that we have 15 chefs. Are we going to put them on teams? Like, how are we going to make this work in a 1 hour episode? And the strategy they went with, the structure that you said, it's almost like a division rather than teams. I love that. We've talked about it on this show before. Teams are really difficult for me. Like when you did a really great job and you cooked an A+ dish, but you just happen to be on a shit team, that is not fair. And whereas in this setup, where there's 5 chefs competing against each other and the winner moves on and becomes eligible for the top prize, that feels a lot fairer to me. And it's also, I think, a better product. The chefs don't really know each other. There's not that camaraderie or chemistry. It's a little bit of chaos if they're all on the same team. Whereas this, when it didn't really occur to me until Kristen at the end was like, Michelle, you're eligible to win this week's episode. I was like, oh, I don't think I've heard that phrasing before. You're eligible to win from Padma or in years past. And it did occur to me, this is different. And I really liked this setup. So kudos to the designers that they really, I think, improved on the model of getting rid of the team aspect early on and leaning into this divisional bracket.
Yeah, I agree. I have the same misgivings about teams sometimes. I do enjoy their potential for conflict, particularly in the kind of a restaurant war situation. But I prefer this when you have an unwieldy 15 where you have to, it's just one big glob, you kind of divide them out into, basically, we saw 3 final 5s, basically.
Yes.
Now, the actual challenge, interesting, because soup, roast chicken, and pasta, in my opinion, very different degree of difficulties. Because stuffed pasta, And Gail mentions this in her explanation. That was sort of her nomination of what they should do for the challenge, right? Lots of component and variables, because you got the dough, you got the filling, you've got the cook on each. There are a lot of different ways to screw up. Whereas soup, Tom, my feeling about soup is much more forgiving. So what that means is a higher floor. It's much easier not to screw up, but a lower ceiling. It's harder, I think, on balance, to make just a kick-ass soup. However, we saw that that's not necessarily the case. And then roast chicken is kind of interesting because you got to nail the protein. But how much can you wow with roast chicken, right? Like I think that's sort of to me, but in the stuffed pasta, that's between soup and stuffed pasta, where slightly higher ceiling than soup possibly, but also a lower floor because you can screw up. You don't get the cook right on the chicken. It's dry. It's undercooked, or any number of things can happen.
So Danny, I'm still learning the names here. Danny, I think his experience reflected why I had a hard trouble with roast chicken being on the same level as the other two items or the food categories, because so much of getting a roast chicken cook right is the elements, is the technology and the oven that you're using. And for him, he almost got sent home because he put his chicken into the oven and it was 72 degrees after 30 minutes or whatever it was. And to me, that seemed like a total glitch that shouldn't be really held against him. But we'll talk about it. He did an amazing job. Just that U-turn and picking up where I think a lot of chefs would panic and just lose control. And he rose above that. But to me, the roast chicken, there's so much contingency on the available grill or the available oven. And if something's wrong with it, Kevin, that variable doesn't really apply with a soup. It doesn't really apply with a pasta. To me, the cooking apparatus is such a variable here that can totally screw a chef, and it almost did with Danny.
Yeah, soup does not require the technical cooking that either pasta or chicken does. So chicken should be, basically, they say, like when you read the cookbooks, like 165, you put the little thermometer in. Personally, I love chicken at about 120.
Oh,
I do love myself a chicken tartare. I think raw poultry is delicious, but that's just me. I will probably poison myself at some point.
Yes, you will.
But yeah, God, it's terrifying. You take the thing out, you look in, it's only 75. I mean, hell, it's like a Los Angeles June day.
Yeah.
In that chicken cavity.
It didn't work, period, right?
Right. And it does require a technical expertise that the soup does. I mean, soup is very forgiving. That's what soup is. It's homey. You might, with not enough time, you might not get the depth of flavor, and it might be watery, and that's a problem. And it was a problem, I think, for one of the chefs. But by and large, you can get away with a lot more in soup. But it's also harder to really wow. So that's the other challenge.
All right, let me ask you this. Kevin, which team would you want to be on?
I mean, again, I think in a 15-person challenge, I want to be on Team Soup. I know I'm probably not going to go home. That's at least my opinion. I mean, and we'll talk about Amanda and her difficulties.
Pasta seems very high difficulty. So I'm probably going roast chicken or soup, probably leaning towards soup. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one of these steam ovens that like roasts the chicken automatically for you. You just enter in the weight of the chicken and then put it in there, stuffed with whatever you want to stuff it with, and then it comes out beautifully roasted. It's a cheat. Like I haven't actually had to technically roast a chicken in a couple of years since I started using this oven. But yeah, it's tough. Like you got to get, because like the white meat and the dark meat, and I like to brine my chickens to guarantee moist white meat. But then if you do that, you kind of can screw up. You can't really roast it. I mean, it's just it's just harder. Well,
Kevin, I thought something was really interesting here in the design of the show, the production of the show. Did you notice that they did these like tutorials with each chef? So it was Tom Colicchio explaining how to nail a roast chicken. Like he was looking at the camera and he was giving you the tutorial, the 3 steps on how to make a perfectly roasted chicken. And then later on, they did Gail, like, here's how you do a pasta. And then they did Kristen, here's how you nail a soup. And I always get a little jarred when that happens because it's not a confessional. We usually don't get Tom and Kristen and Gail looking straight at the camera with a confessional. But that was a nice thing. And I want to talk about, first they kind of do this like meet and greet where everyone plays the name game, or like raise your hand if you're a James Beard nominee, or raise your hand if you've worked at a Michelin star. And I liked this, obviously, to learn a little bit more about the chefs and kind of, put names to faces and faces to names. But I also think it introduced Kristen as a coach. And this is what I think is interesting about this year that makes her different than Padma, is she almost had a pep talk to them. Was like, hey, when I was a chef on this show, I only had 3 cooks to my name. I wasn't a Michelin star chef. I wasn't a James Beard Awards chef. And it recurred to me that this is a smart way to position Kristen as kind of this authority on what it's like to be on Top Chef, because as much as we love Gail and Tom and Padma over the years, they can't speak from a first-person experience about what it's like to compete on this particular show. And you could see that the Top Chef producers, or at least Kristen, have embraced the idea of like, she is going to be kind of coaching these contestants, like not Bob Knight style, right? She's not going to like torment these chefs, but I think there is a little bit of like, hey, she's going to pep talk you a little bit.
Right. This is one of the distinctions we make in the NBA, right? Like there are coaches who've never played in the league, Greg Popovich, and they're legendary or whatever. And then you have like your Phil Jacksons or your Steve Kerr or your Doc Rivers, right? And so like, you're right, Kristen is the first ever host who actually was a competitor. She's, in fact, it speaks to the longevity of the show, is that it's that moment when you kind of become early middle age where it's like, wait a minute, I used to root for that player as a player and now they're a coach. It's kind of weird. It's like seeing your teacher in the supermarket kind of thing. And it is. It's like Kristen has now graduated from player to coach. And it's something that's interesting because when they chose, it didn't dawn on me when we were thinking about replacements for Padma to go into the roster of alums. Like I just assumed they would get somebody from the host world or who, a celebrity who loves food. It didn't occur to me that, why don't you just take a former player? And that's essentially what they did. And what you're talking about speaks to that.
Yeah. I think the credentials that we have, it's a little bit of a surprise here, Kevin. I didn't realize that one of the chefs, Kevin D'Andrea, had already competed on Top Chef France before. That was news to me. So I said the last episode that there were no returnee Top Chef alums, but I'm learning now that he was a finalist, right, on Top Chef France. So
they don't let you shop, though.
Oh yeah,
they don't let you shop. That's interesting. I'm kind of fascinated with that. Also, I what do you think? I want to get an accent aigu over the E in Kevin, like he does. Can I do that?
Oh, I don't. How do you? Yeah, can you do that?
Did you notice that?
I didn't notice that. Explain.
So there is an accent over the E in Kevin because he's French. And so it'd be like, Kevin. So I might start putting an accent aigu over the E in my name now on my email greetings.
Well, if you end up drafting Kevin, I'm going to call you Kevin. Kevin. How do I say it?
God, it's been so long since high school French. I'm embarrassed to say, I don't know exactly what the accent aigu does.
Maze is our French. He's fluent in French.
Oh, he is?
So what do we have here?
Kevin.
Okay.
You really want to hit that Kevin. Or it could be Kevin.
For this season, that is my name.
I'm going to butcher that. Okay. Kevin D'Andrea. We had Valentine, Alicia, Manny, Charlie, Amanda, Dan. There are lots of names here, and it's hard probably listening to the podcast and putting faces to names and audibly doing it. But it was pretty clear early on, Kevin, that David Murphy right off the bat was a villain on the show, or at least a character that goes right at Tom and says, ooh, your hat game. Yeah.
Why don't we start? Well, let's start with the pasta group, because he was a member of the pasta group, and that was the group charged with you must do a stuffed pasta. And
yes.
Yeah, I cast as a villain. I would say more as a heel than a villain, which I guess is a distinction without a difference. There was the hat. He has this particular quality that certain Top Chef contestants who tend to be less successful have, which is the degree to which certain chefs don't know that their dishes don't work is always fascinating to me, right? Like when you botch a challenge, there are kind of two different ways to go. One is you kind of know you fudged it. And yeah, you have to approach the judge's table with confidence. You have to serve it with confidence because that's the only way to possibly escape. But you kind of deep down know you screwed up the cook. And then there are the folks who have no idea. I mean, he's asked, how you feeling after he set down his mushroom stuffed gnocchi with speck, chicken liver and gravy, mascarpone, Calabrian chili. I mean, it was so ungepachka. Ungepachka is a Yiddish word that just means busy, excessive. It wasn't a stuffed gnocchi, first of all. Like, there was no stuffing in the gnocchi, really, to speak of. And he answered the question, how you feeling? I feel as good as that dish was. And little did he know it was the least favorite dish of the day.
What did you think about his strategy, Kevin, about announcing right off the bat that he hates pasta?
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, Michelle announced right off the bat that she hadn't cooked pasta in years. So,
But hating pasta is different than I haven't cooked it in years, because hating pasta, it almost is an insult to the person who picked pasta. Gail picked pasta and he's like, oh, I frown upon pasta. I don't like pasta. I don't do pasta. And whereas Michelle is just like, oh yeah, I've just been running barbecue for the last few years. I feel like he was setting himself up to fail in many ways. And going at the chefs is a choice, and one that like he didn't back up really in this episode. Like, you can go at the chefs and say, hey, Tom, your hats are ugly. Gail, you chose pasta, but I hate pasta. Those things kind of raises the bar. And not that they were predisposed to not like his dishes, but it seemed like he had a lot of chutzpah. Did I say that right, Kevin?
yeah, God, that's 2 Yiddishisms in like 2 minutes. But I think the big problem was just the composition of the dish. Like, there was too much stuff on it. I mean, it is a tried and true pet peeve of Tom Colicchio that when you try to weigh down your dishes with, competing flavors and excessive accoutrements, like, it just, they don't respect that. They want to see a quality technical cook on a challenge like homemade pasta, right? That's what they want to see. Quality of the filling, quality of the dough. And then he puts on all kinds of Calabrian chili with mascarpone and chicken liver gravy. And if that's not enough spec, I mean, it's just like, for God's sakes, you're kind of burying the gnocchi.
Well, I think we can bring in our producer / San Francisco correspondent here, because I think it is exactly what he described to us off air. It was not a lot of food, very tweezery. And like the sauce, as Tom Colicchio said, was like, there was way more sauce than beckoned for the meat. It just, why? And Maze, what's your experience with David Murphy's restaurant?
Kevin, can you refresh my memory of the Yiddish word that you used to describe his dish, please?
Ungepachka.
Ungepachka is the aesthetic of Shuggy's Trash Pie. Ungepachka is all of the toppings on a Shuggy's Trash Pie. Its name is Shuggy's Trash Pie. And the inside of the restaurant looks like a Sprite commercial. It is an assault on the senses. It is an assault on your palate. And it sounds like he did what he does to all of his dishes, which is, ooh, this is a trendy ingredient. I'm just going to throw it on top.
Yeah, he said maximalist on the show, Maze, that his decor was maximalist.
It is a lot.
The decor at the restaurant.
Have you guys seen it? Have you guys seen?
They did a little cut through, like going through his restaurant, which, by the way, a little bit of a tell for me was like, that was the only restaurant I seem to remember that they kind of did a deep dive in was his restaurant.
So one side here is bright neon green.
That is a Sprite commercial.
Oh, there it is. Oh, my God.
And then the other side is glowing yellow. It's a assault on the senses. It's truly a lot.
That is a lot.
It is a Mountain Dew ad for sure.
And Tom, you've been to my house. It's neutrals and concrete floors and white oak.
You want to sit in the green hand chairs, Kevin? Does that appeal to you while you eat your trash pie?
It's like being fondled by the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, look, a butt is holding your sweet potato fries.
This screams David Murphy. Like his whole aesthetic, his whole personality. There is nothing left to wonder about that dude. And Maze, spoiler alert, got eliminated this episode. So
bummer, because I was so looking forward to doing a scouting mission when he was in the finals so that, we could really dig deep into this. But I guess we'll have to say goodbye.
To contrast, I want to talk about Michelle a little bit. She was one of my chefs to watch. She did a ricotta and lobster stuffed pasta with charred corn sauce and crispy chorizo. I really admire when chefs on the show win the away games. And when I say away games, She is not anybody known for pasta. It's not what she does. I talked about her barbecue joint in Houston, these beautiful biscuits, but she hasn't made pasta in years. But what she did was she identified the essence of the challenge. She didn't overthink it, and she nailed it, right? A combination of caution, but confidence. And it was just it was nice watching her dish come together. She struggled a little with a pasta maker, was concerned that her dough was too thick initially, but kept working at it. And at the end, the payoff I think Gail made a point to talk about how delicately thin her pasta dough was. The crispy chorizo is a lovely little accent to kind of a ricotta lobster stuffing, the charred corn sauce. She nailed it, and it was great to see.
Yeah, what a warm person she feels. I was cheering for her as I'm watching this, because you could see through the edit that she was really struggling there, and for her to overcome that, much like Danny did in his experience, I felt like it was just really cool to see. And the detail of, like, I loved how you could see your hands in the pasta and how delicate it was. Thought that was a really, really cool little detail there, that I think it was Kristen who mentioned that. And that's just something, Kevin, I didn't eat much. I did like a midday fast. And as I'm watching this episode, I think that dish there are a couple dishes in this episode where I was like, oh, I want to just chew on my laptop screen as I'm watching this, because it just looks so delicious. That one was awesome. And I do think it was a really cool story arc for her, and the barbecue, explanation of just how she was swimming in the deep end a little bit and trying to, like, I forget, I got to remember how I do this pasta, and she nailed it. And Alicia, she had the stuffed gnocchi as well. So, like, David was like, I'm doing this crazy thing, stuffed gnocchi. And then Alicia comes in and she's like, I'm doing it too. And he goes, hey, what are you making it with? And she goes, wouldn't you like to know? I loved that. A little bit of gamesmanship from Alicia, competitive. I'm not going to let you do a cheat sheet and keep an eye over here on my stuff. I'm going to do my thing. The mushroom bechamel sauce and the whipped truffle goat cheese with a little roasted lemon on it. That, Kevin, has my name written all over it, that dish. Just the mushrooms and the truffle and the richness to it. Didn't land. She didn't win that round. What did you think about the other dishes here, Kevin, Rasika, and Alicia?
Yeah, it was interesting. So Rasika did a corkate as her pasta, and that's kind of an Indian rice flour dumpling, and the judges determined that it wasn't really pasta. And it's always tricky and risky to try to reinterpret the challenge. I've just found, particularly Tom, hey, this is the challenge. By all means, we want you to apply your creative interpretation to it, but you can't redefine the essence of the challenge. It gets you knocked at judges'
don't get
table.
cute,
and I think
don't
get too cute. Like, you can interpret, but don't reinterpret. And I think that was sort of her problem. They really liked the flavor. She stuffed the dumpling with keema, which is like a minced meat curry in kurma gravy. So I think she showed a lot in terms of flavor profile, but I think there was a slight resentment that, hey, look, a rice flour dumpling is not pasta. So she got knocked for that. Kevin had squid ink raviolo with lobster, shrimp, and fennel puree, which, by the way, has my name on it. I think they really loved the flavors. The stuffing was a hit.
Looks great.
But the squid ink raviolo did look a little heavy, a little thick, a little doughy. He got a little knock for that. And Alicia, I think, enjoyed the earthiness of the mushrooms. But, goat cheese is with ricotta gnocchi, kind of cheese on cheese, might not have been for the most interesting contrast. So especially when you contrast that with, a charred corn sauce, crispy chorizo, and a lobster stuffing, right? Like, you just saw how Michelle's dish was so much better balanced. And so I think the way I had it ranked was, obviously Michelle won it. Mm-hmm. David lost it. I think I got the sense that kind of Kevin and Alicia 2 and 3, maybe Rasika gets 4th because, again, she violated the terms of the challenge, if you want to say. Though then again, she had the better flavor, so who knows?
Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS. Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered. With 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with the cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Roasted chicken with Tom. So Kenny, Savannah, Danny, Valentine, and Kalina have the roasted chicken. We got falsetto Kenny, who got a little stage fright with a little trying to sing and didn't hit the right note. And then he also had a tough cook. Didn't get all of his dark meat onto the plate. And he was, unfortunately, eliminated from that grouping because of that. He had a pho butter with a coconut carrot mashed potato. It seemed like a really delicious dish, but he didn't have the plating. So that false start there. That's thanks.
So somebody ask you a question as you prepare for the draft. How stark of a red flag is it when you see a chef like Kenny, who again had a great concept. I mean, Gail said it herself. I mean, a pho spice butter is brilliant. I can imagine. I love that pho flavor, that sort of suite of spices you get, kind of the anise. It just, I love a pho spice. So it was a great idea. But do you worry going in, like, to the draft that hey, that guy can't get a chicken thigh on a plate for a challenge like this? I don't want him anywhere near my board. Or do you say, hey, look, the concept is strong. He learned his lesson. Like, what kind of red flag do you think that is for you as a drafter?
It's a tiebreaker for me. If I like someone else just about as much, I'm docking a couple slots there. It's interesting. Remember Dawn Burrell? She had a similar thing in the opening episodes. She just could not manage time. Her time management skills were atrocious. And yet she went really far in the competition. So I think I don't want to get too over critiquing him on this one fault, but it is something. It is something. We don't have a lot of information on these chefs and their ability to compete. So it's almost like, Kyrie Irving, when he only played 3 games at Duke, you only have 3 games to evaluate whether you're going to take him number 1 or not. But the things that you saw, man, he was awesome at Duke. So you feel pretty good about drafting him number 1. Kenny, there's a lot of other chefs here that are super interesting. And you know what? They didn't have the same fault that he did, stepping on the line as he's trying to serve. Then we had Savannah with an avgolemino sauce, which is, as a Greek myself, I love to hear that.
I didn't know that one, Tom. I did not know. I don't know that sauce. So, but this is in your wheelhouse. This is your home game.
Avgolemino is a soup, a Greek soup that is lemony, roast chicken. It's delicious. It is so good. It's buttery. It's like the perfect homey thing you want to have. If you're feeling down, you just go roast some chicken and put it in avgolemino. It's just a very soul food dish. And so Savannah, that I've already explained, is from just down the block in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Already, I have a soft spot for her. And now she goes and does a Greek dish. Come on. The chicken skin gremolata, potato puree, the avgolemino. There is a sort of thickening that you do with an avgolemino soup that she didn't quite execute. They said it was too watery.
Yeah, I mean, that tells me that she may not have reduced it enough. Because now you say it's generally a soup. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And so she kind of did it as a sauce. She wanted this kind of chicken, egg yolk, lemony kind of flavors. Maybe she didn't reduce it enough. Now, apparently, though, she had the best white meat of the day. Yeah. In terms of moisture, which is important.
Was there dark meat on the plate? I kind of felt like all I saw was white meat. I mean, obviously, we would have heard if it wasn't dark meat, but the white meat looked just perfect. So I felt like she, if Danny didn't come and rescue himself the way he did, I felt like Savannah was in the running for a winner on this one.
One of the guest judges said about Danny's dish, and he did an herb roasted chicken, brown butter sherry vinaigrette, carrot miso puree, that it was kind of the perfect restaurant platter. I totally agree. And in fact, one of the things I love about Top Chef is when I kind of try to steal recipes to make at home from Top Chef, it's never like the big entree or main protein. I'm going to make that carrot miso puree this week. What a great thing, kind of restaurant quality side to have, if I make just a roast chicken in the house or a piece of fish or something, right? Like that looks so good. It was just a beautiful plate. And again, there was a lot of overwhelming flavors. A lot of chefs, it seemed like, coming out of the box to, whether it was David, whether we'll talk about Valentine in a second. A lot of chefs try to do a little too much the first week, right? But this guy didn't. Hey, I'm going to do a butter sherry vinaigrette. I'm going to do a carrot miso puree, and I'm going to nail my herb roasted chicken, right? It's very clean. And for a guy who had 75-degree chicken 20 minutes prior to plating, boy, he came back strong.
Oh, I thought you were going to say for a guy who had 75-degree chicken, which is the perfect temperature for chicken.
Which is the perfect temperature. Well, for me, it is. It is. I love raw chicken. Listeners can mail me raw chicken, and I will consume it.
Please don't do that. Please, I'm telling you, please, for the sake of you and your health, please don't consume mailed in lukewarm room temperature chicken. Please. But continue.
Yeah, so Danny won the round with just, a restaurant quality plate. Kalina did roast chicken with spiced curry, corn, and mushrooms. The comment, I think, from the judges' table was the sauce was too assertive.
Yeah, there was too much corn, more corn than the chicken, I think someone said, and it was dry. So I think Kalina While I'm a sucker for shiitake mushrooms or any kind of mushrooms, that I think there are morels in there maybe too. I'm a sucker for that, but that dish didn't work nearly as well as Danny's. And then Valentine, the fact that he had like a mountain of shishito peppers and then a little bit of chicken knocked him. It didn't score well with the judges that he had a pile of shishito peppers, like looked like laundry on the top of your bed before you fold it. And then, or at least that's how I do it in my house. And then Valentine, I really like him as a character. I just find him self-deprecating and also really interesting. And he forgot the shallots and made mention of that at the judges' table. And I'm curious, Kevin, if there's something like that with shallots, it's kind of not an essential ingredient. Do you volunteer that information at the judges' table, or you just forget it ever happened?
I don't. Unless it's just so obvious that it was a missing. I mean, the argument for doing it is basically the message, hey, judges, I knew this dish needed a little more acid. Don't think I didn't know that. I had pickled shallots ready to go. Hence, I understand the balance of my dish is off, but know that I know that I'm a sophisticated enough judge to know that. That's the case for mentioning it. The case for not mentioning is, hey, ask for forgiveness, not permission. Like, it's like, why do you want to bring light to a mistake that might otherwise go undetected, right? And it wasn't as if you didn't have the shishito peppers, which provide that sort of balance. Technically, I mean, it's not a shallot, obviously, but I think you could argue that, hey, I wouldn't have seen that composition and said, oh, well, he's missing something, right? And to your point, Colicchio comment was, hey, it's okay. There's enough stuff on here already. Yeah. So I probably don't say anything in that case unless it's such a glaring omission that I need the judges to know that I'm a sophisticated enough chef to appreciate that the balance of my dish is off, but know that I know that because I had this other thing ready to go. I was absent-minded.
Where are you on shishitos?
I mean, I like them within reason. I'm always a little... Spicy food has started to bother me in the last few years, so I'm always worried about getting that. Every seventh shishito is apparently very potent, and that one scares me. But I love them. You go to a yakitori joint, and they're all charred, and I mean, I'm kind of pro shishito.
I'm pro shishito. I like the gamesmanship of shishito. It feels like you're playing roulette when you're eating shishito. It's a good crowd pleaser. I do appreciate being in a group, and you just start, drawing knives, so to speak, of eating the shishito. So I like a good shishito. Don't like a mountain of it when it's not the featured item. So Danny takes the trophy for this group, moves on to the top three, where he goes against Michelle. And then the winner of the Kristen group, the soup group, is Manny. Kevin, I know we shouldn't make too much of the first episode, but I think he is very strong.
Look, I said it. I thought that soup had the lowest ceiling. And so to do a wow soup that just can overwhelm even the roast chicken winner or the pasta winner says a lot. Pozole is just a homey dish. Here in Los Angeles, often a place will do it only on weekends or only one day a week. Because it requires so many different components. I mean, you've got to do these little hominy pearls. You've got to do the stock has to be deep. Sometimes it's done usually with pork. This one was done with chicken. He does a charred salsa, right? Like as if it's not enough to kind of just do the stock and to do the hominy balls. You get the charred salsa. He found some nice cabbage, charred tortilla. He just composed a dish that they couldn't resist.
Yeah, and there was that moment when his vegetables are on fire, and someone's like, "Hey, Manny, your food's on fire in the oven." And he goes, "No, that's what I want." Mm-hmm. What a gangster move that was! Just you see that on fire? That's exactly how I want it. Thank you for letting me know. And then just Kristen, I think, said it was everything I wanted right off the bat. Just completely conceived the dish, executed the dish. And as you said, soup, the wow factor with the soup, you got to really have a lot of wow in there. And he brought it. And
again, it's just one of those cooking with confidence. He knew what he wanted to do. It was a home game for him. I got to imagine you arrive with, green pozole he went to it. I'm curious to see how you evaluate it. You're a big believer, I believe, in first elimination challenge winners and their general success in the show. Curious to see how it plays out. We'll talk about that more, on draft night. Second place in that division, it was very clearly Dan, the local chef. Does his tomato and fennel broth with seafood and Asian flavors. Lemongrass does by the way, shirodashi, another thing I'm dying to kind of figure out. And so that looked delicious. And he got, I think it was Colicchio who said, hey, you keep cooking like this, you're going to do fine.
Yeah.
But that was a nice looking dish.
Yeah, and he knew the restaurateurs that were there, which is always interesting to me. Budalo last season was, every fifth person it seemed like he had worked for or worked in the same kitchen with, and Dan had a great affinity for them, and I wanted to see how that played out. And to be honest, when I saw the dish, there was a little bit of longing of the dish. It didn't look all that sophisticated, and of course, we can only judge by what we see and not we taste. Or smell, but they love that dish, and he nailed it. And I'm not the biggest fennel fan, but when you do a seafood kind of cioppino or something like that, tomato broth with fennel, it's hard to go wrong with that. So that great choice with the Asian ingredients and bringing that to the table. And Amanda just, man, to come right off the bat and over-seasoned to the point where they almost had to spit out the gremolata, that's got to be a sinking feeling and knocking your very ego and consciousness when you're going against the top chefs, when Tom Colicchio is just like, you should go back there and try that gremolata and let me know what you think.
Amanda's an interesting chef because I loved her concepts, both in the soup division and in the quickfire elimination, right? Like chicken and dumplings with citrus gremolata, with a lot of yuzu koshu, which I love. That's that sort of spicy citrus that you get like a little dollop on your nigiri sometimes at a Japanese restaurant. Like it's just a wonderful flavor. Like I loved the way she composed her concepts on this show, and ironically, she over seasoned the chicken and dumplings, and then ended up under seasoning in quickfire, though it was fine. But to me, if I were able to draft, she's an interesting one to evaluate because on one hand, hey, you can make the argument, look, if you're over salting and under salting, like that's just basic chef 101 stuff. On the other hand, I love of the 5 soups, if you'd given me a menu, that's the one I wanted to eat. That was the one I wanted to eat. So it'll be interesting to watch her because I do think there's a lot of talent there if she can just figure out and kind of get out of her head on the salt, not salt. Charlie, corn and ham soup with a pickled shrimp that was only slightly pickled, unfortunately for him, but was a strong third place, it seemed like, in this division. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, it seemed simple in presentation and it needed to pack a lot of flavor, and he didn't really necessarily nail the protein in terms of flavor. Like you said, pickled need to be a little bit more pickled shrimp. But I felt like he brought some of his Haitian roots in that dish, and obviously with the Northeastern, the New England, with seafood and bringing the shrimp in there, it felt like that could have been a winning dish if he executed the shrimp a little bit better. So yeah, I would say third place there. And Laura, I liked all of the elements in that dish, but it didn't work. It did feel like 2 different dishes that were mashed together. I love the idea of meatballs, Bulgar meatballs and mushrooms, a mint yogurt soup, all of that made sense to me. It seemed a little bit watery when they were spooning it around. I felt like it needed to be a little bit more thicker consistency. But I do like the ingredients, the elements in that. But like the judges said, it didn't come together.
Yeah, I'm really glad we have a Turkish chef on the show, though. I'm really excited about that. And so, yeah, I'm with you. And it was a kind of take one thing off before you leave the house. And I think that was sort of the problem there. Although I'm with you, there's nothing I love. The only thing I love more than maitake mushrooms are morel mushrooms, right? Like and bulgur meatballs, kind of a fun, substantial yogurt mint soup. But yeah, she kind of pulled in. I have her at 4th place in that division. So that set up, Tom. That set up the judges' table. We had for the winners, Manny versus Danny versus Michelle, and Manny won it. We talked about it. I mean, they could not get enough of the green pasoli, and he took the prize, and he gets immunity.
This episode is brought to you by 20th Century Studios' new film, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, starring Golden Globe winner Jeremy Allen White and Academy Award nominee Jeremy Strong. Scott Cooper, the director of the Academy Award-winning movie Crazy Heart, brings you the story of the most pivotal chapter in the life of an icon. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Only in theaters October 24th. Get your tickets now.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
So I wanted to know what you thought about Kristen's little quip at one point while she's evaluating this, being at the judges' table for the first time as the official host. I mean, she's been a guest host or guest judge, but they were just, deliberating and they were discussing, how do you evaluate the flavor versus the execution versus the concept, all this stuff. And she says, which one has more value? And I was like, that is how I would, my quant mind would be like, I need to assign numerical weights to these things, to these factors. And then I need to decide what is the winning dish. Whereas I think Tom, he said, just what dish did you like the most? Like, just, hey, was that your favorite dish? Like, he, in very simple terms, explained it and was basically telling Kristen, like, don't worry about the value system or what numerical weight you put on each factor in the dish. But I actually felt very sympathetic to Kristen's kind of working her way through, how do I pick a winner here?
Yeah, no, I think you and I think similarly on this stuff. And it's interesting because I think Gail Simmons is right in the middle of the two of them, right? Like Tom's a go with your gut guy. Like, at the end of the day, this is visceral. Which one do you want to take home in a doggy bag? And, which one do you want to be stuck on a desert island with? Whereas Kristen's very kind of methodical, right? Like, okay, how did the cook go? Like, is there creativity? How does composition? Was it plated nicely? I think you and I both tend to be kind of, look at all the kind of categorical considerations and make a determination. But I don't think there's a right and wrong answer. And I think one of Gail's great gifts is she sort of combines the visceral, God, I love this hominess with the, hey, how did the cook go on the dough, right? Like, I think she's just this lovely fulcrum between the two of them. But I really love it. You made a really good point. I like, one of the things I like about Kristen is that she is sort of in the laboratory with method, and she is going to approach decisions that way. I think that's really, really cool.
And one thing that we got to see in Louisville when we went to Restaurant Wars is how much the producers are talking, or the directors and producers are talking to Kristen in her ear. Now, back when we were there, it was Padma. But in many ways, she's not only evaluating the dishes, but she's playing point guard. And she's hearing like, hey, why don't you ask so-and-so about this question? And they're kind of helping drive the conversation in ways that makes for better TV. And so keep in mind, for those watching at home, is all of the stuff that Kristen has to do and learn on the fly. It's not just about presenting herself on TV and delivering these lines. It's also, she's got to play point guard in this deliberation too. And she's also the rookie. So there's a lot of dynamics here that as a viewer, I kind of grabbed onto, and I said, Kristen's doing a really good job tonight. And I really want to say, those are some big shoes to fill with Padma. And I think Kristen did a really nice job of the only time, Kevin, I would say, the only time that I was kind of like, whoa, that's different, was the opening. The opening when like the music kicks in and then you hear Padma's voice usually, do the, this year on Top Chef, when it was Kristen's voice, it kind of threw me off. And I was like, oh yeah, that's Kristen there. So I don't know how many beats or many moments you had watching this episode that made you be like, oh, this is new, or oh, this is different than Padma. But that moment when she was kind of wearing her emotions on her sleeve a little bit and saying like, yeah, I'm not really sure, how do I evaluate, winning dish? Like, how do I weight these things?
It's learning on the job. And authority is not something that comes naturally. You sort of earn it with viewers over time. And now she's going to have it quicker than most because she won. She won season 11, 12?
I think it was 10. Is Seattle?
10. That's right.
Yeah.
It was Seattle. And So she, but it happens over time. I mean, Padma was able. I mean, look, she's a unique talent, but authority will be generated over time. Let's go through the quick fire elimination. Essentially, I mean, they're not calling it a quick fire, but it is essentially quick fire, right? I mean, it is. You got 20 minutes. Go find all the leftover food waste in the kitchen. Basically, everyone took Danny's stuff. It was funny. It was like cabbage and hominy. So it was very clear that a lot of people were at Danny's station taking his stuff. I think it was hilarious because, theoretically, David should have an advantage at this challenge, right? This is a guy who puts food waste sort of as part and parcel with his restaurant's mission. So, but Kenny decides he's going to go very simple, right? Like he's going to do a Vietnamese shrimp salad, right?
Yeah.
Amanda's going to do something a little more creative. She goes with a snapper crudeau.
Smart though, very smart.
David, I don't know, man. Tom, what the hell was David doing? I don't think he knew until it got on the plate.
I think his personality really dragged him down here because he always commentates as he's going on and his mind is all over the place. And it seems like he's almost playing as a WWE wrestler out there and like trying to be this animated character and so braggadocious and like all this thing and this thing. And, oh, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Have a freaking poker face, dude. Like you don't have to do a whole editorializing what's happening right now. You can just be quiet, focus, and figure out your dish and not have to commentate while it happens. So I think the very thing that I think is alluring about this guy, that he is just a character and outwards and very talkative and off the wall, I think it really hurt him in this sense because it didn't seem like he had a clue about what he wanted to do. He was all over the place. And Tom said it was like, felt like you just kind of threw a bunch of stuff together and there was no conception here.
Just because you're into food waste doesn't mean you have to rescue everything in one dish. Yeah, it was a mess. What was it? Gunga pachka, right? Like poached shrimp, tomatoes, coconut cilantro broth, and green curry sauce. I mean, that to me is never mind that neither of us like cilantro, forgetting that. And
cilantro, as he said it, yeah.
One or the other, please. Coconut cilantro broth or the green curry sauce. One or the other. One or the other.
All over the place.
Right. It was just all over the place. I loved Amanda's dish. I mean, I snapper crudo with a hominy puree, very clever use of clearly the pozole balls with a tortilla. Now, on this one, she actually underseasoned the fish. I think she was a little spooked by the fact that she had oversalted the gremolata in the previous round. And so she underseasons the fish. But I think all the judges acknowledge that conceptually she's a very strong chef. Like I'm very interested in what she's got ahead of her. I hope she can master these technical issues because I love she's preparing stuff that I'm like, ooh, I want to try to do that at home. I don't know that I can pull it off, but I'd like to. And I love her flavor profiles and I'm really into that. And so she was clearly the winner of the quickfire elimination if such a thing existed. Kenny kind of was second. They were I thought I just found his stuff uninspiring. I mean, you could argue in the chicken round, he did a good idea, but didn't execute. If you're somebody inclined to skepticism, you could say, yeah, this might be a red flag, just in the sense that it wasn't very interesting to the judges.
Thought he and Amanda did two very smart things. They chose a dish they could execute in a short amount of time that was a layup for them. Whereas on the other side, Danny just was a disaster. And part of it is because he didn't have that focus of like, all right, in 20 minutes, I need to do a dish I know I can do in 15. And even though it's not going to wow the judges, I just need to play safe. I just need to outrun the last guy when there's a bear chasing you, right? So I think that's what they did, Amanda and Kenny. And you know what? Mr. Murphy did not avail himself very well for all of his chest out character, the wrestler of the group. But he goes home, Kevin. And a really interesting thing here that I picked up on, don't really know what to make of it. There was no mention of Last Chance Kitchen, where Tom usually says see in Last Chance Kitchen. So whether they do Last Chance Kitchen or not remains to be seen. Maybe it'll kick in at the next episode. But I do hope there's Last Chance Kitchen because we love Last Chance Kitchen.
Yeah, I hope so too. I've had a few apprehensions recently that it's important to nail like when the person comes back into the competition. And I want to make sure that it's like a tough road. Like you don't want to over punish, but you don't want to under punish. Like I do think elimination you should have to really work your way back. Not one of these. Every once in a while, they'll do one of these. Oh, hey, guess what? You went a few rounds and now you're right back in. And it's sort of like, it should be, you should have to really work at a disadvantage. But I think, we've talked about it just as guys who've kind of grown up in media during the digital era. Like, I just think, for years at our past employers, you talk about how do you make like a good digital product based on the big product, right? Like, how do you make an interesting 12-minute show that's for, digital only? And as far as I'm concerned, Bravo and Last Chance Kitchen and the producers of Top Chef have nailed it. Like, boy, it's just a beautiful little kind of distilled version of the big thing. Like, I love Last Chance Kitchen for that. It's consumable in one sitting. You get all the kind of the suspense. It's competition. You get Tom's personality. You get the chefs kind of almost more candid, because I think it's probably there are fewer bright lights. And so in some ways you get to see the chefs even more of themselves than they would be when they're you doing a confessional on the big show. So I am a huge fan of Last Chance Kitchen. I hope we see it again. I just love it as like a 12, 14-minute product. I just think it's great. I'm
hoping that it's back. Maybe there's a wrinkle that we don't know yet, but we'll see. And then final thoughts here, Kevin. I actually really liked this restaurant. This restaurant that they taped in, Loopy Iris. There was almost like this gladiator effect of like the viewing that the chefs could watch from above in this little like kitchen pit, I thought was really cool. Like they're all kind of propped up on the ledge and they're watching the cook. And they didn't have like a secondary studio. It was right there at the restaurant. So shouts to the production team on pulling that off. I really think it added a level of entertainment to watch that.
Absolutely. It was like they were in the Roman Colosseum. It was great. And the guest judge was Paul Bartolotta, who's a famous Milwaukee chef, has a great place called Lake Park Bistro. In fact, I sent you a picture of CJ Krawczyk, our guest on the preview everyone should listen to, a picture with Chef Paul that he took with him. He's a huge fan. Actually, had they were married and had a dinner at Lake Park Bistro that was prepared by Paul Bartolotta. So he was a very good spokesperson in Milwaukee, a great guest judge. I thought had some cute quips. And so far, episode 1, I love the Top Chef is in Milwaukee, and it kind of, for those who are skeptical, I think we've reached a point where I think Top Chef could succeed anywhere, right? Like this idea that it has to be in some shopping bag city capital, it is a misnomer. I think you could do, I think any place could host, Top Chef in a compelling way that had a critical mass of food tradition.
Even Boston?
Even Boston. And Boston has hosted it.
I know.
Yeah, I'm just not. We will do my. I'm starting warming a little bit more on Boston. I went to the Cape this summer, and so I'm sort of kind of getting the New England thing after all these years. But we'll talk about that on some future show.
Yeah. You know what? Now we have this Substack, Kevin. We can kind of. I would love to hear your 5 cities that people are sleeping on, 5 American food cities or something like that, where I get a scouting report, which, we're going to be doing a lot more of those sorts of things this season. And you can find it again. If you haven't subscribed, I really encourage you to do that. We've gotten some really heartwarming messages from the Substack that I think I'm going to share in a future episode or on Instagram. You can follow us on Pack Your Knives on Instagram and Pack Knives on Twitter, packyourknives.com to get our Substack. We sign up for free, but really you should join the hundreds of people who have already signed up, and over 100 people in like 24 hours have given us a paid subscription, which is outrageous. So thank you so much for the support. We wanted to take it to the next level this year, and the reception that we've gotten so far, Kevin, I can say is just, it's really cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much. If you are subscribing, thank you. Becoming a Chef's Table member, it's a little steeper price, but you get to draft on my behalf. I will be sending those emails out on Thursday. We want you to rank your draftees because, Tom, it's the best day of the year. It's the Top Chef draft. We will be doing that ahead of next week's episode. Closing thoughts, Tom?
Kristen, great job. That was awesome. I really felt like this was an excellent episode. I think the chefs, top to bottom, interesting characters, also very high acumen. It seems like that there's no kind of, you feel like they're G Leaguers in the NBA playoffs. This really did feel like a strong group, very well credentialed, but also enough of the kind of mighty, grimy, maybe an understudy that wants to prove itself like Kristen felt like she was when she was on the show. Excellent. And you know what? It didn't really take away the fact that there was no quickfire in this episode. And maybe because there was that little cook-off at the end. But I kind of feel like this new structure is working.
Really well executed first episode. For Tom Haberstroh, for producer Anthony Mays, this is Kevin Arnovitz, and this is Pack Your Knives.